Um, so this last section, I just wanted to share a little bit about, another part of the spiritual journey has been as the shell becomes thinner, and I'm sure many of us are familiar with this, one starts to feel what's happening inside other people, strangers, apparent strangers. And it's been a very beautiful process because it takes away that sense of separation. It's like we're all one. And one of the great gifts of that accident, which I count as my greatest blessing actually now, not then, is that because of all that's kind of been shed, there's an ability to feel the extremities of experience, from the deepest suffering of humanity to the most extreme and wonderful bliss and joy. And I think before the accident, I thought that I had normal feelings like everybody else, but when I look back, there was a kind of anesthetized way of being. And I feel, even though you can feel like your heart's going to break over and over again at times, there's such gratitude for it, such gratitude. And so I thought I would share this poem that was actually about, sometimes I'll read something. I don't read the paper that often, but occasionally I do. And, so many things happen in this world. This was a story that moved me deeply, and I wrote a poem about it. It happened in Asia, and it's called Truth. I think I have to do the glasses. I'll just print them on larger paper, larger font next time. Truth. When they came to slaughter him, the bull fell to his knees and wept, great big tears rivering down his darkened face. And the workers watched in shock and awe, this creature pleading for his life, a picture of humility. And they knew they could not take him. Instead, they sat around his lumpen flesh in a circle of love, stroking his quaking head with tender hands. And he looked into the eyes of each man so wide openly and suddenly calm that every heart melted like sun-kissed butter. And as they led him to a field where he could gaze at sky and dandelions, this time he went willingly towards the fate we all live and die for, to rest in pure, exquisite being. I may have added the end myself because I wanted a happy ending. I can't remember. And this one is just, it really was a quote from Ramana, just this idea of how to live in the world and also be true. And so the quote is, when you meet someone, think deeply. It is God who dwells in that body. When you meet somebody, think deeply. It is God who dwells in that body. Deeply. Think deeply how he breathes you, how he beats your heart. He moves and sleeps you. He is eating you with the fuel of his love. And when you see another, it is him beaming at you. Even if the smile seems like a grimace, smile back, for God wears many masks. And if you see a woman crying, weep with her or stroke away her tears, for she is a broken part of you, seeking wholeness. The soldier that you judge, the sulky child you resist, the father who ignored you, are all his. They are lost parts of yourself, wanting to come home when you truly open to them. Think deeply. Those differences are appearance. They arise out of God. They burn with that same flame of light that can never be extinguished. Make peace with yourself. Make love of what still wounds you. Let pain be your ally, anger your friend, for he too dwells in you and is as in your apparent enemy, and will see you through always to the end. And of course, on this journey, perhaps the most challenging part for all of us is what Kathy mentioned tonight, self-love, really learning to love ourselves fully. I think for many of us, it's easier to love others. And so a piece that, a big piece that happened for me actually recently was a missing piece in this journey. My teacher's wife suggested that I hold a meeting of friends to help support me in an issue that was giving me great grief, mainly how to earn a living while I spent so much time in silence. And it brought me to my knees, basically, a very humbling, but it turned out to be exquisitely beautiful in that there was so much love and support at a time when I was at my most vulnerable, and it felt like the mothering that had never happened. And my teacher's wife said to me, I think it's time for you to take a stand. You're so, you have the surrender piece down, you're completely surrendered, but she said, you need to have developed the masculine part of yourself and, take a stand, get out your catsuit and make a claim for what you deserve. And she said, otherwise you're still living in duality. And that had never crossed my mind. I'd lived at one end of the spectrum. And somehow in hearing that, it freed something in me. And not soon after, I was sharing this with Kathy the other night, I've always had a resistance, let's say, of the divine feminine, the female sage. I think because there was a lack of trust in that mothers could be trusted. And somehow in that whole experience with these women and also just this journey, something started to open in that way. And I started to fall in love with Kathy's teacher, Amma, who's sitting right there. A dear friend of mine in Florida brought me a bracelet that Amma had worn at solstice, and I was just going into a 10-day retreat, and I put it on, and I just fell in love, and you just could feel the palpable beauty of her. And in fact, my friend was with Amma, and she texted me and said, I just want you to feel the love. This was before I'd opened to her, and I just got a message to just sit down and open to it. And, tears flowed, and I just prayed to this saint I'd never had any experience with, and said, please help me. I don't know what it is with the Divine Mother. There's this fear. And again, brought to that place of deep humility. And then this love flowered wide open. And it was so exquisite. And over the course of the 10-day retreat, this sort of wholeness inside started to form itself, this sense of completion, that there's nothing lacking, there's nothing needed from anybody, that it's all inside here. And I guess you could call it self-love, but this overwhelming gratitude for this piece that I hadn't even realized was missing. And I apologize, I don't have any poems to the Divine Mother, but I'm glad that Sahadev had some chance. They will come in time. But let me see. So, this path to self-love, it just feels so beautiful. And it feels to me that ultimately, with these incredible beings who have graced us with their love and support and guidance, that there's still a sense of duality, separation, and that ultimately the love resides inside here. Even Jesus said, the kingdom of God lives inside, within you. And I think we're all treading that beautiful path together, home, in our own ways, each of us, slowly coming back to our true nature. And so I wanted to leave you with one poem. It's the most recent poem. It came at the retreat. Most of these poems do come out of silence. And it came after my teacher said something to us. He said, because on these retreats, people are working through their deepest stuff, and sometimes it's not always pleasant to sit in the silence. And he said, you can tell that wherever you are is the perfect place, because that's where you are. And so that line just kind of stuck with me, and I wrote this. So it's called For You, and it really is for you. Wherever you are is perfect. Even if you're pushing into the wind, even if hailstones lash at your face, if you're buried deep in quicksand, still consider it grace. Those voices inside that speak otherwise, ignore them. Let yourself rest. There's a stream of crystal water floating you forward, even if you can't see it. There is a wisdom that conjured the way, and it will take you wherever it is you are destined to go or to stay. Trust it. Have faith. Let love cast a glow if it's dark. You have already traveled so far, going nowhere. Listen to your heart. Can't you hear it whisper the song only you know? That tune that is your familiar, the one that sings your name. Heed the hints along the path, the secret answers you've always craved. Be who you are, and be gentle, be kind to the struggling, worn-out mind. Let me share my own secret with you. If you believe nothing else, believe this. You are already perfect, exquisitely whole. Nothing is lacking. God only knows you have tried to jam up the holes you imagined you carried inside. Let fresh air billow through them like stars igniting the sky. You belong right here, right now, just as you are. Please take my advice and love the gift that is unwrapping itself in your lap as you sit with closed eyes. Open to the beauty that is alive everywhere, that is your true essence. Please don't despair. I have come to ask you to fully imbibe your magnificence. Whoever you are perfect. Spread your wings, precious beauty, and fly.